Hello, hello, hello. So, did you see President Trump today? He denounced white supremacy once again. Now, the question is, after what happened, what took place in El Paso and California and Gilroy and now Ohio, today's press conference, did President Trump come out and say that this was an act of white supremacy? Did he say that? The answer to that is no. President Trump did not say white supremacy caused this act. I wish he would have come out and said Antifa are the ones behind this horrible act. But he did denounce white supremacy. He had to do it all over again. So I have a video clip that I'm going to play for you here in just a second. And this video clip consists of, excuse me, this video clip consists of CNN pushing this whole idea, this whole agenda that white supremacy is taking over America and that President Trump needs to do something about it. See, today, President Trump gave the left some breadcrumbs by denouncing white supremacy, but they're still upset with President Trump because they want President Trump to step down. They want President Trump to leave the White House. That is their ultimate goal. They can care less on how much he denounces white supremacy, which we all do, but they want him to step down. Their anger, their bitterness for President Trump goes above and beyond just him coming out denouncing white supremacy. They can care less how much he denounces white supremacy because they know he's not a racist man. They know this. But they have to keep that going because they need to push that particular narrative. So this clip that I want to show you here, and I wanted to show this last night, but I didn't get the opportunity last night to show it. But this clip right here, this clip is what CNN kept pushing the whole idea that white supremacy is on the uprise and that white supremacists is at fault for what took place. And ultimately, they're saying President Trump is a white supremacist leader. That's what they're saying. This is coming out from the liberal media. I put a comment out there on social media earlier today talking about how CNN and how liberal media and the left, they're all saying that white people that support this president is racist. Actually, okay, let me just play some of this clip. It's about 5 minutes, so I'm not going to play all of it. And I may even skip through some of it, okay? So let me make sure we're volume's up.
Paso, Texas, at a Walmart on Saturday afternoon, the other in Dayton, Ohio, overnight, which left a combined total between these two shootings, 29 people dead and more than 50 injured. This horrific bloodshed taking place in the span of just 13 hours as leaders across the country struggle to make sense of the...
See, they're talking about how the time period, how long it took, right? So let me skip through here and get to the point where they're straight up calling this white supremacists. And like I said, when CNN was saying this, the police department hadn't come out and said that this was an act of white supremacy. The police department didn't say anything about it being a hate crime. It was just a monster killing people. That's what it was. But listen to CNN before anyone came out saying that this was white supremacist, and even before, supposedly before the whole the manifesto came out. Do you hear this? Even before the manifesto came out, CNN was saying this. Now listen, I might have to turn it up here. Listen.
Two cities, two tragedies. My colleague Jim Sciutto continues with our coverage there.
This dude right here.
Texas. So, Jim, while some families are still trying to, figure out and get answers about their loved ones that they have not been able to communicate with, are they getting answers, or are they expected to get answers from that middle school down the road, which is supposed to be a reunification center?
I know a lot of people don't watch CNN because they can't stomach
The
it.
sad fact is that all these hours later, some families don't know if their loved ones are lying dead inside the Walmart there, which remains a crime scene. It's the details of these shootings that can be most heart-stopping. The local police chief saying that when he entered the crime scene there, he was overcome by the smell of blood. Those are the details. They're disturbing, they're shocking, but that's the nature of this violence. 20 people dead in the span of a few minutes, and now the unusual circumstances of that shooter turning himself in voluntarily to local authorities. He is now in their custody. But let's be clear about two things.
He's getting ready to go into it. I have a question. I'm sitting here looking at this and I'm wondering to myself, how many times have you seen CNN go set up shop like this in Chicago? How many times have you seen that? I've yet to see CNN go set up shop in Chicago to talk about the senseless killing that's happening in Chicago today, right now. But they want to do this, they want to target this because this gives them something to attack President Trump on and to try to make it to where we cannot have our Second Amendment, have our freedoms. Listen to what he says here.
One, we are identifying him as a white supremacist. This is based on his social media postings prior to this shooting, in which he said that he was targeting Mexicans here. He felt that his country was being overrun. That was his motivation. We are also, as local authorities and federal authorities, describing this as an act of domestic terrorism. A white supremacist, domestic terrorism, and this community now reeling from it, and some families still wondering if their loved ones paid the ultimate price here.
You hear what he just said? White supremacist, domestic terrorism. After this, and I didn't record it, I wish I had. Actually, I saw some of it this morning. CNN is talking about anyone that is white, that owns firearms, that support President Trump. You are considered, CNN and the left, they are considering you right now a domestic terrorist simply because you support President Trump. This is all a tactic for 2020 to get you to run away from Trump, to get you not to vote for President Trump. That's all this is. This is what all this is about. Because if they truly cared about lives, they would set up like this in Chicago. But they don't set up like this in Chicago because black people killing black people is okay. It's perfectly fine. Don't worry about it. They're just black people. But in this case, because they can push this narrative talking about it's the border issue in a Walmart with Hispanics, they get to say they can, President Trump is racist. This is like maddening to me. I don't know about you, but with the way they're blaming white people, look, you don't have to believe me. When it's presented to you, you're going to go like this. I remember some black dude with dreadlocks was telling me something about them calling white people that support President Trump, that own firearms, domestic terrorists, and I'm seeing it all over the place. And I can't remember the dude's name. That's exactly what people are going to say. I'm telling you, because we always forget people's names. And I'm telling you right now, if you are white in this country, you've got to wake up. And I'm not telling white people to be violent at all, but just be mindful of your surroundings. Because these people, their ultimate goal is to go after conservative Christians and specifically white people, on top of that, white men. Why? Because the majority of the people in this country are white people that are Christians. You don't got to believe me. And you know what? I really don't care if you don't believe me. I really don't. I'm telling you and I'm showing you what's going on. Listen some more. You don't need to believe me. Don't believe me. Don't. Listen.
We hope that they'll be learning today. I'm joined now by Ed Lavandera. He's been covering this story here, arrived within hours of the shooting yesterday, and continues to talk to the families and the local authorities. What are we learning at this hour now? First, about the shooter.
Well, we know he has been booked into the jail on capital murder charges, which now means he could very well face the death penalty if prosecutors intend to do that. There's also federal investigation that is ongoing as well, kind of on a second track, if you will. What kind of charges emerge from that is unknown at this point, but that's obviously something we'll monitor closely. But that work continues in there, and that is a gruesome scene, as you're talking about the police chief's comments.
But yet they don't talk about the gruesome scenes in Chicago.
Waiting to hear
Listen.
from their loved ones. One family in particular, we've spoken with they're looking for their 86-year-old mother, who they spoke to, who was in the checkout line inside of Walmart. She was on a phone with one of her relatives 4 minutes before the shooting erupted. They have not heard from her. It's been now more than 24 hours.
So now you see that he's talking about like people, loved ones, and lost them, and we're all. This is horrible. No one is condoning this. No one is saying this is good. He's just talking about the grandmother and people that's lost loved ones. Listen what he says here. Listen to what this dude says here. Listen.
And why would authorities not be able to give them information now? Have they not identified some of the victims here?
I think that's part of it, and I think the local authorities are trying to be very sensitive to how they kind of talk about this particular issue. You can imagine what the scene inside there looks like. So they said they're asking people for patience, that it is a tedious and gruesome scene that they are having to go through. So there could be an element of that is delaying this. They're doing their forensic work in there. And really, we've also talked to a number of local officials who are kind of just upset about the way all of this is being talked about. We spoke with a man by the name of Paul Garcia, who is a local law enforcement officer, and he also serves on the school board as a local politician. And he was getting very frustrated with the way some politicians are talking about this. He says anyone who is not calling this what it is.
Here it comes. Anyone who's not calling this for what it is. Listen.
This entire crime a disservice.
Calling it what specifically?
See, look at him. See, I told you, watch what he does.
He wants it to be called domestic terrorism, that this is an act of white supremacy. We have a little bit
See,
of tape.
he pushed him to say it. Now this guy here, he's supposedly an agent, but he's a never Trumper as well. And he's frustrated because the police department won't come out and say this is white supremacist. Why would the police department come out and say that?
I want to challenge my colleagues, all elected officials in El Paso, including the mayor of El Paso, Dee Margo, to come out and say what this is. Say it for what it is. We have got to stop the political talk. We got to let the community know exactly what's going on. This was a hate crime by a white supremacist that targeted our people, nuestra gente, here in El Paso, because we are Hispanic.
Y'all see this? Y'all see this? They were showing this. They were showing this yesterday, doing this yesterday, trying to make it look like it was all white supremacists before the police came out and said anything from their investigation on why this person did any of this. And then there's multiple reports I've seen out there where they said that this killer changed his profile, or someone changed his profile from him being a Democrat to being a Republican. And you can see the change when it took place. I wish I took a picture. Many people know exactly what I'm talking about. So did President Trump actually say white supremacists caused this horrific act? No, he didn't. At least that's not what I heard. That's not what I heard. What took place was President Trump, he did denounce white supremacy because he's throwing breadcrumbs to the left, throwing it in their face, but they don't care. They're still saying that he's a white supremacist after denouncing it. And they're saying the only reason why he's doing that because he's getting all this heat for something that he created. They're saying that he created this situation, these killings. They're saying because of his Twitter feed caused all of this, which is a total lie. Now, let me play some of this from our great president. Listen to this.
In one voice, our nation must condemn racism, bigotry, and white supremacy.
There it is.
These sinister ideologies must be defeated. Hate has no place in America. Hatred warps the mind, ravages the heart, and devours the soul.
The only problem that I have with that is he says that hate has no place in America, but yet we still have leftists in America. That's the only way to get rid of the hate, is to get rid of this leftist ideology that is affecting all of us in our communities. I put another post out there saying that the best way to resolve gun violence in America is today, President Trump to sign an executive order that every single Democrat, registered Democrat, is no longer able to own a firearm. You do that, Mr. President, and you will solve the gun problem overnight with a signature on the paper. But see, the Democrats will go completely haywire, right? Because then they will say that you're infringing on our freedoms. And what are you going to say? Only Republicans can have guns? Listen, Democrats completely scream talking about you need to take up all the guns. You need to turn them all in. You need to take them. So what's going to happen is that the government and criminals will be the only ones that will have firearms, not law-abiding citizens, because law-abiding citizens, guess what? They're law-abiding citizens. In this case, what they want to do, they want to take guns from the American people and only have criminals have them. But if President Trump said, okay, every registered Democrat, I'm taking your guns, the gun problem will be solved up to 90%. 90% in this country, all of it will be resolved overnight with a signature. That's all it would take. That's all it would take. But then you would have Democrats screaming. I don't know why they would be screaming, because right now the Democrats should be setting an example in turning all their guns in. They're not going to do that. They're absolutely not going to do that. What they want conservative Christians to turn all their guns in. I'm telling you. And the reason they want conservative Christians, specifically conservative white Christians, to turn all their guns in, because they believe that if something goes down, these conservative white Christians are going to stand up to this tyrannical entity that's trying to destroy America, and they can't have it because they want to bring in a globalist system and all of that. And to prove what I'm saying is that right now on CNN and the rest of these liberal media outlets, they are calling anybody white that supports President Trump a white supremacist. They're doing it all over Twitter. It's happening all over Twitter. It's happening all over Twitter. And they're not going to stop. Let's just say I copy white supremacy. And then I come up here and I search for it. There's going to be a whole bunch of stuff. This is my first time looking. White supremacy. AOC talking about white supremacy. She said using the words invasion, infiltration, with respect to specific targeted group of people, implying they are vermin. This is language of white supremacy. It goes all the way to the top. This is AOC putting out this nonsense. I'm telling you, they're blaming President Trump for all of this, and specifically because he's a white man. I mean, how else do you explain this to people? I mean, my goodness. Comey's chiming in too. He said, reading words off the teleprompter is a good start. Now tell your next rally audience that racism and white supremacy are evil, and you don't want to support of anyone who disagrees. No one on Trump's side supports white supremacy. And people that call themselves white supremacists, which is a small number, who cares what they support? They supported Hillary Clinton at one point. They still do. The Democrats is still the party of Jim Crow. There's nothing new about that. I mean, you just type in white supremacy on Twitter and you get all of this nonsense. Here's AOC. Video games aren't the cause of mass shooting. Okay, now I can agree to that. Video games are not the cause of mass shooting. Liberalism is. These liberals, these tyrannical liberals, they are the cause to all of this. Yes, liberalism. Who stands to gain by all of these killings? Who stands to gain anything by causing gun control, causing this violence in the country. Who stands to gain from it? President Trump's not gaining nothing from this. Think about that. President Trump doesn't gain nothing from any of this. People who's gaining something are the liberals, because then they get to push their whole gun control. The liberal media, because they get to attack President Trump. The politicians, because they get to go and say President Trump is causing this by his tweets, by saying stuff. It says, AOC says, sadly, the GOP refused to acknowledge that because their strategy relies on rallying a white supremacist base. Did you hear what she just said? I'm going to read that one more time, just a little bit slower. Sadly, the GOP refuses to acknowledge that because their strategy rallies on rallying a white supremacist base. Who do you think she's calling white supremacists, people? Who do you think she's talking about? And AOC being one of the leaders of the Democratic Party, who do you think the Democrats are talking about? I mean, it's like the writing's right here on the digital wall. How else do you explain it? We are literally right now in a civil war in this country, and the war is being fought right here. The war is being fought on the streets. The war is being fought in the spiritual realm, and we're seeing it. We're living in a time like never before in the history of this world. And it is biblical. It is biblical what's happening. You have these monsters going out killing people, and you have CNN showing up at the doorstep saying, look, everybody. But they don't go to places like Chicago. They never set up shop and say, we've got to bring attention to the killing. They never go to places like Baltimore and say, look how the conditions of black people are living. They don't do that because it doesn't fit their narrative. They like black people killing black people. They like black people living in poverty. They like to kill black babies because they have Planned Parenthood, and they constantly keep funding Planned Parenthood to keep killing these babies. Margaret Sanger already said it. Black people are a virus. Black people are a threat to society in this world. Margaret Sanger. But no, here it is. The writing's on the wall. They keep showing it. I'm showing it to you. And talk about the censorship. Everything, just like this video right now. I guarantee this video probably won't get more than 5,000 views. Why? Because they don't want people to hear what I'm saying. They may delete this video. And all I'm doing is talking about what they're doing. I'm not making anything up. I just showed it to you. That's the crazy thing about all of this. I'm showing you what they're doing, what they're saying, and they're going to censor my video. And to talk about censorship, let me pull this video up. This is a video with Mark Dice, and I encourage you to go over to Mark Dice on YouTube and click the like button like I'm doing right now. Click the like button on this video. This one, it says, of course they did. Give props to Mark Dice. Please go to Mark Dice video and say, thank you, Mark Dice, okay? I'm going to play this. Now listen, Mark Dice is playing a video from Veritas, and Veritas has another Google employee that comes out and speaks the truth. Listen.
Coppola says he saw all this coming to pass during the 2016 presidential election.
Well, I started in 2014. 2014 was an amazing time to be at Google. We didn't talk about politics. No one talked about politics. It was just a chance to work with the best computer scientists in the world, the best facilities, the best computers, and free food.
Listen.
I think as the election started to ramp up, the angle that the Democrats and the media took was that anyone who liked Donald Trump was a racist, even a Nazi. And that got picked up everywhere. I mean, every tech company, everybody in New York, everybody in the field of computer science basically believed that. A small number of people do work on making sure that certain news sites are promoted. And in fact, I think it would only take a couple out of an organization of 100,000, to make sure that the product is a certain way.
That's exactly it. Google is promoting the whole idea that President Trump is racist, and they're doing that. They want to take him out because of the 2020 election is coming up. That's exactly the reason why they're doing it. That's exactly the reason why they're doing it. And right now, like I said, this video that I'm doing right now probably will not get over 5,000. And the main reason why it probably won't is because they don't want people to know that there's people like me out there in the world that don't hate white people. I'm called a sellout because I don't hate white people. Do you hear what I'm saying? Think about that. I've had white liberals and black liberals call me a sellout because I don't hate white people. Can you wrap your mind around that? I mean, seriously, wrap your mind around that. Think about how that is in the time that we live in, that someone can actually fix their mouth to call me. And it's not just me. It's other black people that speak up and say the same thing that I'm saying, that because I don't, capital DONT, hate white people, they call me a sellout. Why? Inverted Earth, thank you so much for the hard work and the patriotism. Thank you so much for the donation. You know what? Ever since I moved to Texas, and I haven't been able to do a lot of videos, and I've been trying to do a lot more. I'm actually in my office now. I'm getting set up. It's been a blessing, and I plan on doing so much more. Because before, when I was in California, there was no way that I could do a video at this time of the day, right? Because I'm here working, and then I do a video because I'm just reading the stuff, right? So I thank you for the donation. Everything helps. And when people give me $1, I try to acknowledge it because I understand how hard it is right now. And I can't do this. And the only way I've been able to get here and being able to do this is because of your help. I've had so many people in the last, for some reason, people will see it, but for some reason, the last 24 hours, since I've been talking about what's been going on in El Paso and the way they're calling out President Trump to be racist, and the way they're talking about how the Trump supporters are racist, and more of this is coming. People have been donating to me on my PayPal. People have been going to my Patreon. People have been going to my Subscribe Star. And I put that in the description of the video. It's like I'm doing a plug right now, right? But you know, I concentrate on this, but I have to concentrate on making a living to be able to do this. And this is scary. And I can't do this without the help of the American people. That's who I'm depending on. I pray that God puts it on people's heart to help. In the last 24 hours, God has touched a lot of people. And I just want to say thank you. That's why I say that I try to acknowledge everyone. Even when you just give $1, I try to acknowledge everybody. So, same thing. I support 45. I support 45. This is scary times. It's scary times what we're going through. It's scary times. And they're going after white people as if white people are the problem. They're constantly been saying it. I've been saying it over about 2 years now that they want to attack white people the same way they attacked black people in the 50s and the 60s. The same exact way Democrats attacked black people back in the day. They're gearing up to try to attack white people today. I don't like it. Blazer 101, thank you so much. Kathy, thank you so much. So I must be a white supremacist because I carry, and it's for my safety because I am disabled, right? You know what? That's exactly what these leftists are saying. They're saying anyone. I saw, I don't remember where I saw it at, but there was another one on here where they were saying that anyone who supports President Trump, you are a white supremacist. Here's Cory Booker. Says white supremacist is not a mental illness. A gun. Let me start over. White supremacist is not a mental illness. This is Cory Booker. He says the president is weak and wrong. This is Cory Booker. He says, and guns are tools that white supremacists use to fulfill their hate. Oh my God. See, I'm just sitting there talking about it, and then here's Cory Booker straight up saying proving what I've been saying. Let me read it again for anyone who just joined. This is Cory Booker. The president is weak and wrong. This is Cory Booker saying this. White supremacy is not a mental illness. A gun, and he said, and guns are tools that white supremacists use to fulfill their hate. And see, the young lady just put the post on there talking about she's disabled and she carries a gun. Gordon Dean, thank you so much for the donation. And here it is. Cory Booker. So Jamel Hill, she says, I don't know who needs to hear this, but condemning white supremacy in a speech is not proof. How many times? See, it doesn't matter. President Trump, don't ever say it again. Don't ever talk about white supremacy. President Trump, don't ever let it come out your mouth again, because it does not matter. Listen, I'm going to read this. It's like you just type in the word white supremacy in Twitter and they telling you how they feel, how they think. Listen, it says, Jamel Hill, I don't know who needs to hear this, but condemning white supremacists in a speech isn't proof Donald Trump, see, she don't even say President Trump. President Trump has changed or become more presidential. He's still a white supremacist. He will still demonize and dehumanize people of color because that's what he truly believes. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Blatant lies. Blatant lies. And guess what? They put this nonsense out and they say people have been turned over to a reprobate mind. Mauro Martinez, I support 45. Lexit, God bless you. Thank you so much for the donation. Virginia, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And Smith, I need to get my eyeglasses checked. Charity Smith, thank you so much for the donation. Iron, I can't even make that out. Thank you. Here's another one. Okay, now I might have to pull this video up and just play some of it, maybe. I don't know, it's 9 minutes. It says, people of color may have been saying that Trump elected was about white supremacy. Seriously? What people of color have been saying that, other than the left? They're the only ones saying this nonsense. Here's one. Mass shooters. 2019. This is a collection of people who've been doing mass shooting. And it looks like a whole bunch of different colors in here. Why is it only white people doing mass shootings? Do you only see white people here? If it was only white people on this screen that have done mass shootings, then I would have to agree. But look at this If you want to talk about a rainbow, I mean, it's probably 50 shades of gray here. Not gray, but color. You know what I'm saying. It's 50 shades of different colors here. They're not all white. They just have this agenda to demonize white people. I don't know. It's like, I don't know how else to say this. And I'm not saying white people need to go out and be harmful, because that's exactly what the left want. They're not getting it. So I truly believe they stage stuff to happen to try to get people to say it is all white supremacy, as if white supremacy is on the rise. So I am a Patreon. Thank you, Nicole. Yes, I see you on there. Thank you so much. God bless. Thank you so much. And Liz, she's a Patreon. You know what? I'm gonna start having to give more recognition to people who go on to Patreon and my Subscribe Star, and I try to do that as much as possible. Liz, you need to get to work. you need to get a working phone, Ola, and watch that video. I'm not sure what you mean, but I do have a phone. I'm actually using it right now. So once I get set up in my home, I'm going to set up a studio there, and I'll have a home studio away from the major studio that's behind these walls. Okay. All right. Let me get off. I do have some other work I need to do. Oh, look at that. Keith Phillips, thank you so much. God bless you. You know what? Let me say it one more time. And you don't have to donate anymore, please. I really appreciate it. You're such a blessing. But let me say this. When people donate, I try to acknowledge every single person, even when you do just $1, because $1 does not come easy, right? I understand that. And for me to do what I'm doing, I depend on the American people to help me out, because it's the American people that put me here today. Because of your prayers. Patriot USA, thank you so much. Just joined the Subscribe Star. Thank you, thank you, thank you. God bless. Because people support, because God put it on people's heart to support me and to donate to what I'm doing and able to put me here. That's why I constantly give God the glory. God gets all the glory. And God does not want us fighting. We're God's children. And God's children come in all different colors. And they're all beautiful. Darth Moonslayer, thank you so much. God's people come in all different colors. And all of these colors are wonderful. And you have the left right now trying to demonize it. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And please, if you haven't, if you can, because this is where I'm really going to need your help. I really depend on you right now more than ever. If you go over to Twitter, I actually have a Twitter, Firepower, @Firepower News. It's actually in the title of this video. And I have a Facebook page called Firepower News. And it's Firepower. That's the name of my show that's coming up in September. And I just want to be on fire for God. That's it. I'm not saying that I am the fire, because I'm not. I just want to be on fire for God. Does that make sense? Because I'm a flawed man. I just want to be on fire for God. All right. So please go to Facebook, connect with me on Facebook, Firepower News on Facebook, on Twitter, Firepower News. Both locations, @Firepower News. All right. And I'm also have a channel on YouTube where I will be pushing the show to it, and as well as Facebook and Periscope in the future. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for all the donations. God bless. God bless. Talk to you later.